It's that time again, YouTube. King Nazar with the Rosario Vampire reviews. There we go off with Chapter 14. As usual, since I'm doing 14 through 17, I'm going to have my notes with me to help me uh, keep track of everything that went on. We start off with Skune catching getting a pail of water for an unconscious Yukri, and he's noticing that it's pretty hot, typically because it's summer. But he spent so long in the monster world of Yokai Academy, which had the barrier that protects them from the changing seasons, that he's becoming adjusted to that again. And Kurumu is still surprised that Yukari could defeat the plant monsters, and wonders why she's afraid of the human world. Um, but to which Mocha says that there's a lot of things they don't know about witches, since they're the hybrids of both uh, humans and monsters. Then the two human girls which Yukari saved in the last chapter ask if Yukari is the Witch of the Hill, which the legend was about, but the gang says that she's not. She's from Yokai Academy along with them. And then one of the girls explains the legend of the Witch on the Hill, that there's an old and powerful witch that lives near the sunflower field, and says to protect it. And now that this construction is being this construction is happening, and that is going to destroy the flower field, and that is invoking the witch's wrath. Uh, Unfortunately, Yukari wakes up and tells them not to randomly blame witches, because she feels that uh, people just blame witches for everything, which is why they have a bad rep with humans. And Kurumu tries to rejoice over Yukari's recovery, but Yukari still remembers that Kurumu and her had a fight, and decides to give her the cold shoulder. Then the human girls offer a lift to their motel, where the gang hopes to meet with Miss Nekoname and the bus driver. However, young witch tells her the young female witch tells her master that Yukari has been taken, and the master orders her to pursue and recruit Yukari, and if anybody gets in the way, to kill her. To kill the humans. And it turns out the master says that the young female witch name is Ruby, and Ruby pursues pursues the game by transforming into a raven. I'm not entirely sure how a raven can catch up with a car, but just roll with it. So the gang arrives at a city, and everybody's excited except Yukari. And Skune, being the only human, feels it's his responsibility to show all his friends around, so they might be more accustomed to humans, and actually might want to be that might actually strengthen their friendship and strengthen their relationship with humans. Uh, then Ruby catches up and transforms back to her witch form, and she sees the gang in the city and feels Yukari is oblivious to how witches view cities. And she goes on to say that witches are attuned to nature and magic, and cities' lack of it disgust her, causing her to question Yukari's worthiness to join them. Uh, Yukari seems very confused by the city's constant noise and all the attention that they're getting is making her feel very uncomfortable. Uh, so these group of people, start to notice the girls, and they really like how they look. They say Mocha and Kurumu look very sexy, and Yukari uh, gets some unwanted attention from a bunch of nerds who happen to be into young girls. The less we talk about that, the better. And she doesn't want any of this attention, so she uses her magic to fend them off. Skune helps Yukari escape before being exposed, and Ruby takes this as confirmation that humans and witches could never coexist peacefully. Meanwhile, Yukari is shouting at the top of her lungs that she's scared of both humans and the human world, and even though Skune tries to say that he understands, she says that he can't possibly understand. There's too much difference between humans and the witches' world for him to possibly understand. And Skune, feeling that Yukari feels this way, is saddened that he's actually failing to be a good friend to her. To which Kurumu gets angry for Yukari saying something like that, which would upset Skune. But however, Ruby's ravens start attacking the gang and spirit Yukari away. And the ravens bring Yukari to Ruby, where she's on top of a roof. And Ruby introduces herself and says that she hates the city for not having any nature in it, and says that that instead of nature's beautiful trees, water, and earth, it just holds their greed and hate and all that jazz. It's starting to sound like a Captain Planet thing. And she says she's from the ranch and she wants to become Yukari's friend. And so naturally, the gang starts searching for Yukari. Skune still feels bad for not understanding her, and wish he could do better. And Mocha, comforts him by saying that next time they'll consider her feelings this time. And then Kurumu spots the ravens on the rooftops and suspects they took Yukari there. And Ruby continues to explain that she lived with humans once, and their destructive nature makes them the enemy. You see what I'm talking about? This whole Captain Planet vibe. And she asks Yukari to help defend the field, and even if it resorts to fighting humanity. And Yukari says yes, which makes Ruby very, very excited. Like a friendly pseudo sister kind of way. And then, fortunately, the gang catches up, and they did overhear Yukari's and Ruby's conversation, and Yukari feels that Skune is upset at her, but Skune says that he doesn't care if Yukari feels this way. He just wants to make things right, and tells her that they should forget the newspaper project because they assume that their vacation is actually an assignment, and should just go back to Yokai Academy. And Yukari is completely shocked by Skune's capacity for forgiveness and understanding, and before they could make amends, Ruby slashes at Skune's shoulder with a feather. Yes, it's a magic feather. Roll with it. Uh, she turn Then Ruby transforms into her seraphic form, where she basically has 6 feathers, like the angel, the seraph, which also has 6 wings, and says that she doesn't need friends like Skune, who are human, and says that she'll replace Skune and the gang as her friend. Uh, so yeah, what's going on here? Yukri Yukri tries to explain that she doesn't care if the others don't understand her. She's gonna spend her time trying to understand them and vice versa. But Kurumu, completely outraged that Ruby attacks Skune, she tries to charge at Ruby, but Ruby's seraphic form prevents her from getting close and making any real damage. And then Ruby tries to give the gang a quick death, but Yukari halts her. By taking a blow. Yukari says if Ruby kills any of her friends, that she'll never forgive Ruby. And Ruby says she can't ever accept friendship between humans and witches, because, especially since she views that the kinship between witches is stronger than a human and witch relationship. Uh, then Mocha to save Skune's life, Mocha feeds her blood to Skune, and Skune turns into his vampire hybrid mode and confronts Ruby, and Ruby is completely shocked that Skune could have survived that, and wonder how a human could possibly get up from an attack like that. And when she's about to strike Skune, he easily dodges it and defeats her by punching her in the stomach. And then, with Ruby unconscious, the gang decides to do the right thing and take Ruby to their apartment so they can nurse her back to health. And Yukari apologizes to everyone and says that she's completely fine with everybody not understanding them, just as long as they know they care about her. And then finally, the gang meets up with Miss Nikaname and the bus driver, and they try to head back to their apartment. Now, aside from the cliche nature talk and how industrialization is ruining it, such a things, this was a pretty good chapter. We're finally focusing more on Yukari's character and her relationship with humans, as well as adding new witches and the overall relationship between humans as well, which is pretty antagonistic. And we're also seeing more of Skune handling enemies instead of Inner Mocha doing it. And this is probably going to lead to those possible repercussions that Mocha talked about a while back by using the blood of a vampire. So next we head on to chapter 15.